Hello, so today we're going to be looking at the app sensor, so the accelerator pedal position sensor on the 2JZ GE VVTI. In this case, so you've got this is the throttle body off of one, obviously, the side-facing manifold specifically. We've got the accelerator pedal position sensor here. The throttle cable normally wraps around here and attaches here. On this side, you typically have a throttle control motor and a throttle position sensor. So the other video shows how we get rid of this. In this case, we're not going to talk about this too much. We're going to focus on this. So real quick, I want to start with showing the throttle plate. So sorry, this is a dirty throttle body, borrowed from a friend. Didn't have any need to clean it up for this. But basically we've got throttle cable here, rotates backwards, and as you can see, this first little amount doesn't change the throttle plate position whatsoever. So zero movement whatsoever for that. The reason Toyota did this is one of the first drive-by-wire throttle bodies that they made, and they wanted there to be a fail-safe. So instead of having the pedal position sensor on the pedal like the current cars do, it's here, and then the fail-safe is if this fails, you can floor it basically, and it'll open the throttle at least enough to get you to be able to drive just a little bit. So, you know, a lot of people, when they modify their car, specifically manual transmission, maybe force induction type setups, they don't necessarily want to use the drive-by-wire stuff, so we want to bypass that. That's what this stuff is, just to get rid of it and clean it up. But in this case, there needs to be a way to tie these two together, so we're not having to worry about the throttle control motor doing it. Now, there is a way. It's a way I used a long time ago where I actually physically attached some pieces inside there. That's not the best. So we've come up with, and really a number of places have come up with this little guy here, which I'm going to call, is commonly referred to as a throttle lock. This is one that I designed basically this morning. I'm going to be installing it in here and showing what happens after the fact, right? There's another video in the description below that shows me actually going through the process of designing this. If anybody's interested, it's pretty neat actually. So basically what we want to do is remove this guy, install this inside between here, and then put it back. So just to start real quick again, show you this doesn't change anything until you get to about there, and then it rotates and opens. And you can kind of see throttle position sensor does the same thing. All right, one other quick little note. A lot of people ask where those hoses that go from the passenger side, the back corner of the motor, to the front driver's side. So they come to the throttle body here and here, so a little check valve. Basically, circulates coolant through here so that in cold temperatures, this doesn't freeze up. That can potentially happen if it's really cold, air is flowing past the throttle plate, especially if it's moist air, freeze that up, not a good day. Either way, that's what these are for. In warm climates, a lot of people will bypass these. So anyways, with that, let's get to it and start taking this guy apart. So the first thing I want to show is there's this little half moon piece down here. It attaches both these bolts. Toyota puts that in place to keep these bolts from backing out. So all you got to do is pry. There's 4 little ears. You got to pry those ears away on both of these guys. So just like so. Just a little straight edge screwdriver to be able to get in there, like that. And very simply take an 8mm socket. So just start one corner. I'm going to save this corner one on this side for last, because you have to rotate the throttle plate or not the throttle plate, but the app sensor in order to get to it. Okay, and then last but not least, we just rotate this a little bit, get our socket in there. And set that aside. This is the small little metal plate, it's a little keeper. Again, probably not necessary once we've modified this, but Toyota puts in there and you gotta have it out of the way in order to get these bolts out. So now that we got that out of the way, we've got our app sensor, so that's this guy. This is the most common cause of failure on these throttle bodies. There's 4 wires that go into it, so there's like ground, position, 12 volt, that sort of thing. Anyways, underneath this white plastic piece, those 4 wires attach, these 4 pins rather, attach to the circuit board that's inside here. And where those solder joints happen to be, of course this all gets really hot all the time, so the solder joints fail over time due to heat and vibration. So if you're getting one of the accelerator pedal position codes, failure codes, it's usually this, and it's usually those solder points. So what you do is you take a little knife or Dremel, cut it along through here, and then resolder them, put it back together, good to go. A friend of mine has a video specifically outlining that. I'll throw a link in the description so you can get to that. Either way, so there's your app sensor. So you can see this piece rotates with it 1-to-1. The problem is it doesn't contact the center piece, this dial, because they're offset. They're actually offset by the exact amount of that triangular piece of the throttle lock. So real super simple here. Throttle lock goes with the, let's see, circle in the center. It's going to be pointed up, and it's going to sit in there just like so. So you can see the circle. There's a little cutout here. That cutout is for this small little lever, and then basically just put this right back together the exact same way you took it apart, just like so. Pro tip on this, start these by hand. The socket has to go in at kind of a weird angle due to the thickness of this guy. So start them by hand so you don't cross thread them. As I'm doing this, these 2 bolts here are for the throttle cable stop. So it normally sits out like this. It has to be removed to get to these bottom 2. No big deal, it's just a 10mm socket. So again, to tighten this back one, you just gotta rotate the throttle or the app sensor just a little bit. So got it back bolted in place, still turns. Now this time, when we turn it, it turns 1-to-1 with the app sensor. So it moves exactly with it, which is what we want. At least in a non-drive-by-wire application. Once it's all the way open, you can see that it's literally all the way open. It's straight up and down, and then it's all the way closed. And that's all I have.